What's up? Christy One Love Fellowship for Followers of Christ. Just doing my nightly rituals. Oh yeah, having a snack. Sorry about the mess if you saw that. Whatever. How have you been? Because I've been, I want to say comatose, but not really. But just like my body's not been cooperating and I've been hibernating and this thing just keeps coming back for more. Someone out there just does not want me to be in like my most presentable, I don't know. I wanted to go out tonight after the meeting with the group that I joined. Apparently they all go out to eat after, and I was really hungry too, and so I was like, that sounds good. I could use some food and 111 and social time, and I probably should have went ahead and did that, but at the last minute, I decided not to because 2.5 hours of socialization was a lot after 2 weeks of isolation, and I needed to get away from people. So I just went and grabbed food, and then I went to the grocery store and spent way too much money to get stuff to make more food. And now I'm here. And I just finished reading all my prayers. And I'm going to go ahead and start reading from Daniel. I think I started it already, but I don't think I liked that video. I don't think I've even watched it. And I don't know how many chapters in we'll get because it's 12 chapters, but my attention span is not super long right now. If I could get through the first 4 chapters, that would be great, but 2:14. We'll see how far we get. So we are reading in Daniel from the New Living Translation, the NLT. 222. Daniel in Nebuchadnezzar's court. During the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim's reign in Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave him victory over King Jehoiakim of Judah and permitted him to take some of the sacred objects from the temple of God. So Nebuchadnezzar took them back to the land of Babylonia and placed them in the treasure house of his God. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, his chief of staff, to bring to the palace some of the young men of Judah's royal family and other noble families who had been brought to Babylon as captives. Select only strong, healthy, and good-looking young men, he said. Make sure they are well-versed in every branch of learning, are gifted with knowledge and good judgment, and are suited to serve in the royal palace. Train these young men in the language and literature of Babylon. The king assigned them a daily ration of food and wine from his own kitchens. They were to be trained for 3 years, and then they would enter the royal service. 3, 2, 1. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all from the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff renamed them with these Babylonian names. 333. Daniel was called Belteshazzar, Hananiah was called Shadrach, Mishael was called Meshach, Azariah was called Abednego. But Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given to them by the king. He asked the chief of staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods. Now God had given the chief of staff both respect and affection for Daniel, but he responded, I'm afraid of my lord the king, who has ordered that you eat this food and wine. If you become pale and thin compared to the other youths your age, I'm afraid the king will have me beheaded. Daniel spoke with the attendant who had been appointed by the chief of staff and to look after Daniel. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water. Daniel said, at the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's food. Then make your decision in light of what you see. The attendant agreed to Daniel's suggestion and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends looked healthier and better nourished than the young men who had been eating the food assigned by the king. So after that, the attendant fed them only vegetables instead of the food and wine provided for the others. Now, it was 444. Okay. So I did the whole raw vegan thing for a minute, and anytime that I do feel guided or called to do that, I do it. But in all of my fasting escapades, throughout the various churches that I attended and participated in their formal fasting rituals, as well as my own internally guided fasting rituals, what I learned about my body is that my body does not, it's not made to be vegan. If I go too vegan for too long, and I know, what's that mean, too vegan for too long? What I mean is, because vegan is technically, you can't have any animal fats or byproducts at all. So like technically for vegan, you're not even supposed to have honey, which is insane to me, because honey is like a necessary staple for my body. Olives and honey are like necessary in my diet. But yeah, not eating anything at all other than vegetables and water, and fruits, and I guess juice, but my body wastes away. It was 555. My body wastes away. The way my body is made, just, I don't know if it's because of the way I was raised, like in terms of what I was fed growing up, and my body adapted to that through epigenetics or what, but 613. But my body needs animal protein. And so while I do try to limit meat to a very sparing and reasonable amount, and I try to be as ethical as I possibly can in sourcing of the foods that I eat, especially things that are animals or come from animals. It's necessary for my body, because if I don't, I have a lot of the good cholesterol that fights off the bad cholesterol. And it's like, if I don't consume any foods that are actually high in cholesterol, which are normally not good for you, then I lose like muscle mass, and I get, so not everyone who goes vegan has this experience. Some people are vegan, it was 7-Eleven, and it's perfect. It works for their body, and their body is super healthy, and I applaud you, because that's amazing. Me personally, I'm not one of those people. I eat as I'm guided to eat, and when I'm guided to pull back, then I pull back. When I'm guided to fast, I fast. But when I'm guided to indulge, I indulge. And for me personally, it's more important to be as ethical as possible in sourcing the foods that I do consume as much as possible. But more so than that, it is that I pray over everything that I consume, and I especially pray for the souls of the animals involved in the making of anything that I consume. And I know some people probably think that's silly, and you wouldn't even think to do anything like that, but I think that it is a very important part of the process. So anyone who is vegetarian or vegan, who is very anti-consumption of animals, please know that I hear you and I'm with you. And had I not been raised the way that I was raised, in order for my body to adapt the way that it adapted, in order to need these things, then I would be right there with you. But I do what I'm called to do. And I am thinking of the health, safety, and well-being of the animal every step of the way, and not just the animal in the flesh, but the soul of that animal as well. Because I don't think people really understand the amount of trauma that goes in to the experience of being a food animal, especially in an unethical and sustainable system. And those souls don't necessarily come back as food animals. So when you wonder why you have a whole generation of children seemingly untraumatized, but who are dealing with very obvious symptoms of PTSD, even though their physical life in this lifetime doesn't seem to reflect the amount of trauma necessary to produce that type of anxiety in someone that young, consider the fact that that trauma, that anxiety, that fear, that terror, the rage, that energy transfers. So it is really important that we treat the animals properly. And it is important that we're not consuming the energies of fear and terror and rage. and that we are praying to release those energies from the souls of those animals. Okay, I'm going to stop. This was my little tirade, 9:59. I don't know who that was for, but I feel like maybe someone needed to hear it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, where were we? God gave these 4 young men an unusual aptitude for understanding every aspect of literature and wisdom, and God gave Daniel the special ability to interpret the meanings of visions and dreams. When the training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and no one impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. Daniel remained in the royal service until the first year of the reign of King Cyrus. 1052. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop there. I think I'm just going to go ahead and break it up chapter by chapter. Especially if there's going to be a lot of commentary. I like for my videos to be 15 minutes and under. I don't know who this will help, if it'll help anyone at all, but I hope it helps someone tonight. Just remember, you are loved. You are forgiven. You can be saved. 11:11. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done or what's been done to you, you can repent. You can repair. You can be redeemed. Much love.